New signs of life on Jupiter's moon terrifies scientists. Europa is Jupiter's fourth biggest moon. Scientists believe that life might exist on Europa because evidence of liquid water underneath its ice surface has been discovered. Jupiter's tremendous gravity, as well as the gravity of Jupiter's other moons, push and pull Europa. This causes Europa to expand and compress, causing it to heat up, perhaps melting some of Europa's ice crust under the surface. As a result, lakes and seas of liquid water may exist on Europa. Water is an essential component of life. There may be life on Europa if there is liquid water. According to a recent research, robots on Jupiter's ice moon Europa may have to delve pretty deep to locate indications of life. Europa's ice crust may conceal a vast ocean of liquid water, according to scientists. This ocean appears to be in contact with the rocky core of the moon's 1,940-mile wide, 3,100-kilometer core, allowing for a variety of complicated chemical reactions. As a result, Europa is often recognized as one of the finest candidates for extraterrestrial life in the solar system. If life had ever lived on Europa, some evidence of it may rise up to the surface from the sunken ocean, where robots may be able to detect it. Well, not right on the surface. Europa gets hammered hard by charged particles, which are trapped and accelerated by Jupiter's powerful magnetic field. Previous research has revealed that merely 8 inches, 20 centimeters of ice may protect any biomolecules on Europa from the harsh radiation environment, even in the moon's most vulnerable areas. The latest analysis, which was published in the journal Nature Astronomy on Monday, July 12, is a little more gloomy. Researchers analyzed how minor but frequent impacts disturb Europa's surface, which is a genuine problem for a world without a strong atmosphere to burn away arriving chunks of rock and ice. They discovered that impact gardening churns up the top 12 inches, 30 cm, of European ice, bringing previously buried parts to the surface, where radiation may zap any fascinating molecules into unidentifiable mush. If we hope to find pristine, chemical biosignatures, we will have to look below the zone where impacts have been gardening. Study lead author Emily Costello, a planetary research scientist at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, said in a statement. Chemical biosignatures in areas shallower than that zone may have been exposed to destructive radiation. Europa is Jupiter's fourth largest satellite and the solar system's sixth largest moon. It is the smoothest solid object in the solar system, despite its broken and discolored appearance. Its greatest peaks, of which there are few, barely exceed a few hundred meters in height, and huge craters are uncommon. The streaks and splotches that run across the landscape are most likely caused by relatively shallow fissures and diverse ground compositions, rather than the massive canyons seen on other worlds. Because of its smoothness, the moon's surface is likely just tens of millions of years old, rather than billions like some other things. The ice is being resurfaced and smoothed out faster on this world than on many others. NASA, which wants to send a Europa probe in 2024, is sure to be interested in the new research. The Europa Clipper mission will circle Jupiter, but make hundreds of near flybys to examine the moon and its hidden ocean. Clipper's responsibilities also include researching prospective landing sites for a life-hunting lander, a mission that Congress has mandated but which is still a concept at this time. This icy moon of Jupiter conceals a tempting secret: a possible sea with double the amount of water as Earth's seas combine. The interior of the ice shelf is warmer than the outside, heated by the bending of its iron core and stone mantle. The side of Europa closest to Jupiter is subjected to a higher gravitational attraction than the side farther away, stretching the moon and likely producing the long fissures that run across its surface, as well as heating the interior. Based on calculations of how a buried ocean would impact the ice above it, the evidence that there is some type of water or slush beneath Europa's surface is fairly strong. Measurements of the moon's magnetic field also suggested the presence of an electrically conductive fluid under the surface, such as salty water. There are also Hubble Space Telescope photographs that appear to show large plumes of water vapor erupting from Europa's south pole, though they aren't high resolution enough to be certain. If the liquid ocean is true, Europa might be a particularly attractive area to hunt for life, because liquid water is essential for life as we know it. However, there are still many unknowns about this massive moon, from the thickness of its ice covered to the specifics of what transpires beneath it. Europa. The photos used to create this high-resolution mosaic of Europa were acquired by NASA's Voyager 2 mission in 1979. From its initial position, the mosaic has been turned 90 degrees clockwise. Galileo Galilei made the first recorded observations of Europa in 1610. As a result, in Jupiter's 3 other biggest moons, Io, Ganymede, and Callisto, are known as the Galilean moons. The first evidence of water beneath Europa's surface came 369 years later when the 2 Voyager probes sailed through Jupiter's system, producing the first comprehensive photos of the moon. Europa was left alone after that brief pass until 1995, when the Galileo spacecraft became the first to circle Jupiter. It stayed in orbit for 8 years, collecting the most precise data we have on Europa. Galileo didn't have enough fuel to entirely evacuate the Jovian system at the conclusion of its mission, but researchers didn't want to leave it there for fear of it colliding with Europa, polluting it and complicating the search for potential life there. Instead, they dimmed the spacecraft by launching it at Jupiter. Galileo was succeeded in 2016 by the Juno spacecraft, which is still circling Jupiter. It has not yet come as close to Europa as Galileo, but in late 2022, it is scheduled to fly barely 200 miles over the Moon's surface, giving us the closest glimpse yet. 2 further missions are scheduled to launch in the next years. The Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer JUICE from the European Space Agency in 2022 and NASA's Europa Clipper in 2024. While JUICE will orbit Ganymede and focus on Ganymede, Europa Clipper will fly past Europa 4 to 5 times, maybe even flying into its plumes. It will very certainly lead to a slew of new findings concerning this weird moon. NASA is also considering sending a lander to Europa to analyze its subsurface, but the mission was not funded in 2021, so it remains a concept for the time being. Europa's ice shell is estimated to be 10 to 15 miles, 15 to 25 kilometers, thick and floating in an ocean 40 to 100 miles, 60 to 150 kilometers deep, according to scientists. Europa's ocean may hold twice as much water as all of Earth's seas combined, despite the fact that it is just 1/4 the circumference of Earth. The huge and unfathomably deep ocean of Europa is usually regarded as the most promising location for searching for life beyond Earth. A passing spacecraft could even be able to sample Europa's ocean without landing on the Moon's surface, as the Moon's water might be seeping into space. NASA's Galileo mission, which orbited Jupiter from 1995 to 2003, obtained the greatest evidence that Europa has an ocean. The spacecraft flew high Europa 12 times, and one of its instruments, a magnetometer, discovered the creation of a magnetic field within the Moon when Jupiter's enormous magnetic field raced past it. A vast ocean of salty water, according to scientists, is the most plausible source of this magnetic signal. Europa's surface also hints at the presence of an ocean beneath it. Images from Galileo and other spacecraft show that, unlike other moons in the solar system, the surface lacks extensive craters caused by meteorite strikes. Scientists believe that geologic action, such as warmer ice rising from underneath, is gradually erasing the craters. The vista on Europa's dazzling, snowy surface is unlike anything seen on Earth to begin with. It is quite flat in general, with few towering mountains or deep basins. Europa's surface also hints at the presence of an ocean beneath it. Images from Galileo and other spacecraft show that, unlike other moons in the solar system, the surface lacks extensive craters caused by meteorite strikes. The surface is crisscrossed with ridges and grooves, which break up the scenery. Many of these structures are associated with long curving streaks of dark and reddish color, some of which reach over 600 miles, 1,000 kilometers, over the surface. Domes, pits, and chaotic jumbles of icy blocks elsewhere suggest that warm ice is emerging from deep below. Europa's icy shell appears to be quite thin, according to models. As Europa orbits Jupiter, the strain of Jupiter's gravity stretches and releases the frozen moon in an eternal cycle. This squeezing in and out is known as tidal flexing, and it's possible that it's generating heat inside Europa, which is pushing the surface higher to form the ridges. The tidal flexing may possibly be generating enough heat within Europa to keep a liquid ocean beneath the frozen surface alive. The majority of the heat would be concentrated near the ocean's edge and the icy crust's edge. Chemical interactions between the water and the rocks on the ocean floor could produce hydrogen-rich compounds if Europa has a salty ocean. And similar to hydrothermal vents in Earth's seas, if there are locations where the ocean meets with hot rock, that water may be pouring out chemical nutrients to support life. In brief, Europa may have a myriad of mechanisms that work together to create chemical energy available for basic creatures like bacteria to power their life activities. So that's it for this video. Comment down what do you think about life on Jupiter moon Europa, And make sure like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video. This is the Spacist sign off.